Tessa Blackwood's eyes burned from staring at her computer screen for hours, but she couldn't stop now. She was on page 394 of the latest software update terms and conditions for her favorite productivity app, and something didn't add up. "Holy crap!" she exclaimed, nearly knocking over her cold cup of coffee. Her cat, Mr. Whiskers, jumped off her lap in surprise. Tessa read the paragraph again, her heart racing. Hidden in the depths of legal jargon and convoluted clauses was a startling admission. The app company, DG Dream Incorporated, had been approached by an extraterrestrial entity seeking to gain control of Earth's digital infrastructure. "This has to be a joke," Tessa muttered, rubbing her tired eyes. But as she scrolled through the following pages, the reality of the situation became undeniable. The aliens, calling themselves the ZYX Collective, had offered DG Dream Incorporated unimaginable technology in exchange for backdoor access to millions of users' devices. The company's legal team had buried this information deep within their terms, banking on the fact that hardly anyone ever read them thoroughly. Tessa's mind raced. She needed to tell someone, but who would believe her? Her best friend, Aiden Frost, was a conspiracy theorist who'd laugh and say he'd been right all along. Her sister, Dr. Lyra Blackwood, was a respected physicist who'd demand proof. As if on cue, Tessa's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Ms. Blackwood, we've detected your prolonged engagement with our terms and conditions. For your safety and ours, please refrain from further action. This matter is beyond your comprehension." Tessa's blood ran cold. She quickly took screenshots of the crucial paragraphs, her hands shaking. Just as she hit save on the last image, her screen went black. No, she yelled, frantically trying to reboot her computer. Nothing happened. Suddenly, her TV turned on by itself, displaying a message in an alien script that slowly morphed into English. "Attention, Terran. Your diligence is admirable but futile. The agreement has been made. Resistance is..." The message paused, as if searching for the right word. "Inadvisable." Tessa stared at the screen, her mind reeling. She had always been the type to read every line, cross every T, and dot every I. Her friends had teased her mercilessly about it. But now, that very habit might be Earth's last line of defense. She grabbed her phone, relieved to find it still working. With trembling fingers, she dialed her sister's number. "Lyra? It's me. Remember how you always said my obsession with reading terms and conditions would never amount to anything? Well, you're not going to believe this, but..." As Tessa explained the situation to her incredulous sister, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life, and possibly the fate of humanity, had just taken a turn into uncharted territory. The fine print rebellion was about to begin, and Tessa Blackwood, the woman who always read the terms and conditions, found herself reluctantly cast as its leader. Little did she know, across the globe, other meticulous readers were making similar discoveries. A battle of wits was brewing, one where humanity's weapon would be its most overlooked skill, the ability to scrutinize the fine print. As Tessa ended the call with her sister, her resolve strengthened. "All right, Mr. Whiskers," she said to her cat, who had cautiously returned to her lap. "Looks like those all-nighters reading user agreements are finally going to pay off. Let's save the world." Orion Vance, a contract lawyer known for his pedantic attention to detail, sat in his dimly lit office, poring over a stack of documents. His colleagues had long since gone home, but Orion remained, driven by an inexplicable urge to review the terms of service for a new cloud storage platform. "What in the name of legal precedent?" he exclaimed, his voice echoing through the empty corridors of the law firm. Hidden within the Byzantine clauses was a provision that made his blood run cold. The company, Nebula Store, claimed the right to utilize user data for interstellar negotiations and potential colonization efforts. It wasn't the usual boilerplate about sharing data with third parties. This was something far more sinister. Orion's mind raced. He dismissed his brother Zephyr's wild theories about alien contact for years, but now, he reached for his phone, hesitated, then dialed. "Zeph? It's Orion. You're going to say, 'I told you so,' but I think I've found proof of Dash." His words were cut short as his office plunged into darkness. The only light came from his computer screen, which now displayed a message. "Greetings, Earth Lawyer. Your discovery is inconvenient. We propose a negotiation. Across the globe, Tessa Blackwood was in the midst of a hastily assembled meeting. Her sister Lyra had contacted colleagues in the scientific community, while Aiden had reached out to his network of truth seekers. The group, diverse and skeptical, was united by the shocking evidence Tessa had uncovered. So let me get this straight. Dr. Kira Nomura, a renowned cryptographer, interjected. Multiple tech companies have essentially sold us out to aliens, and they hid it in their terms and conditions? Exactly. Tessa nodded, her expression grim. And now we need to dash. Her words were interrupted by a high-pitched whine. The room's smart devices, phones, tablets, even the digital thermostat, came to life, displaying the same message. Humans of Earth, your persistence is amusing. We offer a counterproposal. The screens flickered, and a document appeared, a contract, filled with clauses and subsections that would make even the most seasoned lawyer's head spin. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Aiden groaned, squinting at the dense text. But Tessa's eyes lit up. No, this is perfect. They're playing right into our hands. If they want to negotiate through contracts, we'll give them a run for their money. As the group huddled around the devices, poring over the alien terms, a faint smile played on Tessa's lips. The ZYX Collective might have advanced technology, but they had just challenged humanity on its own turf, the realm of bureaucratic complexity and legal jargon. Meanwhile, in a secret facility deep beneath the New Mexican desert, General Evelyn Stryker received an urgent communique. Ma'am, we're detecting unprecedented levels of digital activity. It appears extraterrestrial in origin. The grizzled veteran's eyes narrowed. And our defense systems? That's the thing, ma'am, the young lieutenant replied, his voice trembling slightly. They're not attacking our military infrastructure. They're targeting civilian devices. Mostly, terms of service agreements and user contracts. General Stryker's coffee mug slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. What in the name of all that's holy are they playing at? As dawn broke over different parts of the world, an unlikely resistance was forming. Lawyers, software developers, and that rare breed of people who actually read terms and conditions found themselves united in a battle they never expected to fight. Orion Vance, having escaped his office, made contact with Tessa's group. I think I found a loophole, he said, his voice crackling over a secure line. If we can prove that the aliens' contract violates intergalactic law. Intergalactic law? Lyra exclaimed. How could we possibly know about Dash? We don't, Orion interrupted. But they don't know that we don't know. It's a bluff, but it might just work. As the group debated their next move, screens worldwide flickered again. The ZYX Collective was growing impatient. Their message was clear. Earth had 24 hours to agree to their terms, or face the consequences. The clock was ticking. Humanity's fate rested in the hands of those who had always been mocked for reading the fine print. As Tessa looked around at her unlikely team of rebels, she couldn't help but smile. All right, everyone, let's show these aliens why you should always read the terms and conditions. The galaxy's about to get a crash course in human bureaucracy. Little did the ZYX Collective know, they were about to face humanity's most underestimated weapon, the ability to create, manipulate, and exploit contractual language. The battle for Earth would be fought not with weapons, but with words, and humanity was armed to the teeth. As the 24-hour deadline loomed, an unlikely war room had formed in Tessa Blackwood's cramped apartment. Laptops, tablets, and holographic displays cluttered every surface, each screen filled with dense legalese and alien script. I've got something, shouted MX. Quinn Ramirez, a non-binary software engineer known for their meticulous code documentation. Their fingers flew across the keyboard, lines of text scrolling rapidly. Look at subsection 47.3 of the ZYX proposal. There's a glaring ambiguity in the definition of sentient beings. Tessa leaned in, her eyes widening. Quinn, you're a genius. If we can exploit that. Suddenly, every device in the room emitted a shrill tone. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the room, a shimmering, multi-limbed entity that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Greetings, Terrans. The being's voice reverberated, sounding like 1,000 whispers overlaid. I am Xylith, representative of the ZYX Collective. Your resistance has been noted. Aiden, who had been stress-eating cold pizza, nearly choked. Holy shit. It's actually Dash. Dr. Lyra Blackwood clamped a hand over his mouth, hissing, "Quiet. Let the lawyers handle this." Orion Vance stepped forward, adjusting his tie. His voice was steady, betraying none of the terror he felt. "Greetings, Xylith. We've reviewed your proposal and found several points requiring clarification, particularly concerning the definition of sentient beings as outlined in subsection 47.3.a. Xylith's form rippled, a gesture that might have been surprise or amusement. You've read that far? Impressive for primitives, but surely you realize the futility of your position. On the contrary, Tessa interjected, standing beside Orion. We believe you'll find Earth's legal system quite formidable. As if on cue, Dr. Kira Nomura's voice crackled over a secure line. Team, I've cracked their encryption. The ZYX aren't a unified collective. They're a conglomerate of competing factions. Xylith's form flickered, the whispers becoming discordant. That is classified information. Tessa allowed herself a small smirk. Is it? Perhaps we should discuss the legality of your claim to represent a unified collective, given this new information. Meanwhile, in the hidden facility beneath the New Mexican desert, General Evelyn Stryker watched the exchange on a massive screen, surrounded by a team of Earth's top military strategists. I can't believe this, muttered Admiral Chun, shaking his head. The fate of our planet is being decided by contract lawyers and software nerds. General Stryker's eyes never left the screen. Sometimes, Admiral, the most unexpected soldiers win the war. Back in Tessa's apartment, the negotiation had turned into a rapid-fire exchange of legal jargon and contractual clauses. Xylith's form seemed less stable with each passing moment. Your proposal violates at least 7 principles of intergalactic law. Orion declared, his confidence growing. Intergalactic law? Xylith's voice rose an octave. How could you possibly, Dash? Oh, Tessa interrupted, her tone innocent. Are you admitting ignorance of established legal precedents? That could invalidate your entire claim. As the hours ticked by, more unlikely heroes joined the fray. Esmeralda Wong, a 68-year-old retired librarian with a photographic memory, called in with references to obscure terms buried in the fine print of a decades-old software agreement that mirrored the ZYX proposal. Zephyr Vance, Orion's conspiracy theorist brother, proved invaluable in connecting seemingly unrelated clauses across multiple contracts, revealing a pattern that suggested the ZYX had attempted this before on other worlds. Even Mr. Whiskers, Tessa's cat, played a role, knocking over a stack of papers that revealed a hidden clause Tessa had overlooked. As the 24-hour mark approached, Xylith's once imposing form had diminished to a flickering, uncertain light. This is unprecedented, the alien voice wavered. We've never encountered a species so bureaucratically adept. Tessa offered, unable to hide her grin. We'll need to consult with our superiors, Xylith conceded. This negotiation is far more complex than anticipated. As the hologram faded, the room erupted in cheers. Tessa felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she knew this was just the beginning. Don't celebrate yet, she cautioned, even as she accepted a triumphant high five from Quinn. They'll be back, and we need to be ready. Orion nodded grimly. We bought some time, but now the real work begins. We need to draft our own proposal, one that protects Earth and exposes the ZYX's internal conflicts. As the team set to work, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and cold coffee, Tessa couldn't help but marvel at the strange turn of events. The Earth's first line of defense against alien invasion wasn't soldiers or scientists, but the very people often mocked for their attention to detail. Those who always read the terms and conditions. Looking around at her unlikely team of heroes, lawyers, programmers, conspiracy theorists, and one very important cat, Tessa felt a surge of pride. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't firepower or technology. It was the ability to navigate the treacherous waters of fine print and legal loopholes. As they prepared for the next round of negotiations, one thing was clear. The ZYX Collective had no idea what they were in for. Earth was about to give them a masterclass in the power of the fine print. The sun had risen and set twice since the confrontation with Xylith, and Tessa Blackwood's apartment had transformed into a veritable command center. Whiteboards covered in complex diagrams and sticky notes lined the walls, while holographic displays flickered with streams of data and alien text. "I've got it!" Orion Vance exclaimed, his usually immaculate hair disheveled from hours of intense concentration. Section 113, subsection C of the Intergalactic Commerce Code. If we can prove the ZYX violated this, their entire claim becomes null and void. Tessa's eyes lit up. Brilliant! But wait, how did you access the Intergalactic Commerce Code? A mischievous grin spread across Zephyr's face. Let's just say I have connections. Those crackpot conspiracy theories finally paid off. Bro? Before Orion could retort, every screen in the room flickered to life. Xylith's shimmering form materialized once again, but this time the aliens seemed different. More substantial, yet somehow more agitated. "Humans," the multi-tone voice resonated. "Your illegal maneuvering has caused quite a stir among the ZYX Collective. We are impressed." Quinn couldn't suppress a snort. "Impressed? We got them running scared." Xylith's form rippled in what might have been annoyance. "We propose a final negotiation. The fate of your world hangs in the balance. Are you prepared?" Tessa stepped forward, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "We are. But first, we have some terms of our own." What followed was a battle unlike any in Earth's history. Not a single shot was fired. No armies clashed on blood-soaked fields. Instead, the fate of humanity was decided in a flurry of contractual clauses, legal precedents, and arcane regulatory statutes. Orion led the charge on intergalactic law, his voice growing more confident with each citation. "According to the Regellian Accords of Sentient Rights, your definition of cognitive sovereignty is woefully inadequate." Dr. Lyra Blackwood, who had initially been skeptical of this approach, found herself drawn into the fray. The Quantum Entanglement Clause in Section 224.7 directly contradicts your stance on data transmission rights. Explain that, Xylith. Even Aiden, the conspiracy theorist, proved his worth. "Hey, alien dudes, your so-called peaceful integration bears a striking resemblance to the Zeta Reticulan Infiltration Protocol of 1947. Coincidence? I think not." Xylith's form flickered rapidly, a kaleidoscope of alien expressions that none could fully interpret. "This is unprecedented. You speak of accords and protocols that... How could you possibly?" Tessa allowed herself a small smile. Their bluff was working. The humans' confident citations of non-existent galactic laws had thrown the ZYX into disarray. Meanwhile, in the underground facility, General Stryker watched the proceedings with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "I never thought I'd say this," she muttered, "but God bless bureaucracy." As the negotiations stretched on, it became clear that the humans were gaining the upper hand. For every proposal the ZYX made, Earth's unlikely team of defenders found a loophole, a contradiction, or an obscure clause that turned the aliens' words against them. Quinn, fueled by an unhealthy amount of energy drinks, managed to insert a line of code into the ZYX's communication system. "Check this out," they grinned, hitting enter with a flourish. Suddenly, Xylith's form split into multiple entities, each one arguing with the others in a cacophony of alien languages. "What have you done?" the original Xylith demanded, its voice rising in panic. "Oh, nothing much," Quinn replied nonchalantly. "Just a little subroutine to highlight conflicting interests within your collective. Didn't your terms and conditions allow for that? You really should read those more carefully." The room erupted in cheers as the ZYX representatives devolved into what could only be described as an intergalactic legal squabble. Hours passed, and the negotiation showed no signs of slowing. But slowly, surely, the tide began to turn. The once confident ZYX began to falter, their arguments becoming less coherent, their demands less strident. Finally, As the first light of dawn began to creep through the windows, Xylith's fragmented form coalesced into a single, diminished entity. Enough, the alien voice resonated, sounding weary. We concede. Your species has demonstrated a mastery of contractual warfare that we grossly underestimated. We withdraw our claim on your world. A stunned silence fell over the room, broken only by the soft purr of Mr. Whiskers, who had curled up on a stack of discarded alien protocols. Tessa stepped forward, her voice hoarse from hours of debate, but filled with determination. We accept your withdrawal, but on one condition. You will enter into a new agreement. One that respects the sovereignty of Earth and opens the door for peaceful, mutually beneficial interaction. Xylith's form shimmered in what might have been resignation, or perhaps respect. Agreed. We await your terms, humans. May the galaxy have mercy on any civilization that faces your legal teams. As the alien presence faded, the reality of what they had accomplished began to sink in. They had saved Earth not with weapons or technology, but with the very skills often derided in their daily lives. Attention to detail, persistence in the face of mind-numbing legalese, and the ability to find loopholes in the fine print. Tessa looked around at her team of unlikely heroes, the lawyers, the programmers, the conspiracy theorists, and one very important cat. They were exhausted, disheveled, and in desperate need of sleep. But they had done it. They had saved the world. Well, Tessa said, a grin spreading across her face. I guess we should start drafting those terms. Something tells me this is just the beginning of a very interesting galactic relationship. As the team set to work on Earth's first interstellar treaty, one thing was abundantly clear. The universe would never underestimate the power of those who read the fine print again. In the months following Earth's unexpected victory over the ZYX Collective, the world had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Tessa Blackwood's apartment, once the cramped headquarters of Earth's unlikely defense team, had been transformed into the Office of Interstellar Negotiations and Contractual Affairs, OINCA. Tessa stood at the window, gazing out at the skyline, now dotted with sleek alien craft. She turned to address the room, filled with an eclectic mix of lawyers, programmers, conspiracy theorists, and diplomats from around the world. All right, people, she announced, her voice carrying the weight of their newfound responsibility. The Galactic Council's annual review is in 2 days. We need to make sure our paperwork is ironclad, or I advance. Now sporting a badge that read Chief of Interstellar Legal Affairs, nodded gravely. I've been going over the Andromeda Accords. There's a clause about quantum entanglement communication that could give us an edge in the upcoming trade negotiations. Quantum entanglement? Dr. Lyra Blackwood exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. Why wasn't I informed? This could revolutionize our understanding of Dash. Easy, sis, Tessa interrupted with a smile. One world-changing discovery at a time. In the corner, Aiden was engaged in an animated discussion with a holographic representation of a being from the Crab Nebula. No, you don't understand, he insisted, gesticulating wildly. Crop circles weren't alien messages. They were abstract art created by bored farmers. Quinn, their fingers flying over a holographic keyboard, called out, "Heads up, everyone! I'm detecting an anomaly in the subspace frequencies. Looks like the Rigelians are trying to slip a sneaky clause into the next universal update." Not on my watch, Tessa growled, striding over to Quinn's station. Bring up the terms and conditions. We're going to give them a taste of their own medicine. As the team huddled around the display, dissecting the alien legalese with practiced ease, General Evelyn Stryker entered the room. The military leader had traded her uniform for a sleek, diplomatic suit, a change that still felt strange. Ms. Blackwood, she addressed Tessa formally, the president needs an update on the Betelgeuse situation. Are we making progress on the definition of sentient gas clouds in interstellar law? Tessa nodded, grabbing a tablet. We've drafted a proposal that should satisfy both the carbon-based and plasma-based life forms. It's all about the wording, you see. If we define sentience based on information processing capabilities rather than physical form. As Tessa launched into a detailed explanation, Stryker marveled at the scene before her. A year ago, these people were ordinary citizens. Now, they were Earth's first line of defense in a galaxy that had underestimated humanity's greatest weapon, its ability to navigate bureaucracy. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the office. Red lights flashed as screens displayed incoming data streams. "What now?" Orion shouted over the noise. Quinn's eyes widened as they deciphered the incoming message. It's an invitation. The Galactic Council wants Earth to join the Committee for Interstellar Standardization of Terms and Conditions. A hush fell over the room, broken only by the soft thud of Mr. Whiskers knocking over a stack of alien treaty drafts. Tessa's mind raced. This was unprecedented. Earth, a newcomer to the galactic stage, being invited to one of the most powerful committees in the universe? The implications were staggering. "They fear us," Zephyr whispered, a grin spreading across his face. "The aliens fear us, not fear," Tessa corrected, her voice filled with a mix of pride and awe. "Respect. They've recognized our unique talents." As the team erupted into excited chatter, discussing the potential ramifications of this invitation, Tessa felt a wave of emotion wash over her. They had come so far from that night, when she had first discovered the hidden clause in her app's terms of service. "Everyone listen up," she called out, bringing the room to order. "This is our chance to shape the future, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. We're going to draft an acceptance letter that will make the Galactic Council's head spin." All 17 of them. As the team set to work, their excitement palpable, Tessa couldn't help but smile. In a universe of advanced technologies and unimaginable wonders, humanity had found its niche. They were the readers of fine print, the finders of loopholes, the masters of contractual warfare. Earth's journey among the stars would be paved not with photon torpedoes or faster-than-light engines, but with meticulously worded clauses and ironclad terms of service. And somehow, that seemed fitting. Tessa looked around at her team. The lawyers and programmers, the scientists and conspiracy theorists, even Mr. Whiskers curled up on a stack of galactic bylaws, and felt a surge of pride. They were the unexpected heroes, the ones who had always been teased for reading every line, crossing every T, and dotting every I. As they prepared to take their place on the galactic stage, Tessa realized that their greatest adventure was just beginning. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but it had better watch out, because humanity was about to give it a master class in the art of the fine print. With a grin, Tessa turned to her team. "All right, everyone, let's show the galaxy why you should always read the terms and conditions." And as they dove into their work, crafting the document that would cement humanity's place among the stars, one thing was certain. The age of the cosmic bureaucrats had dawned, and Earth was leading the charge.